As a brand, you know that you're spending your hard-earned dollars driving traffic to your site. The problem is 98% of that traffic is anonymous. You don't know who they are, and once they leave, it's hard to find them again. There's a new tool that helps you identify these visitors and get in front of them. It's called Instant. Instant gives you another chance to convert these shoppers into buyers using their retention marketing platform. You can use their platform to send up to 10 times more site abandonment emails, which you know generate meaningful revenue and build audiences to retarget on Meta. Double your email revenue and increase your ROAS with Instant. Want to see it in action? Don't miss your chance. Sign up by April 1st to get your first month free. Just go to instant.one/limited to claim it. That's instant.one/limited. Welcome back to Limited Supply. My name is Nick Sharma and I am your host. Today we've got a fun episode. We're going to be interviewing Liam. Liam is the founder of Instant, which is a retention marketing platform that I've worked with before and is also the sponsor of this season's podcast. So I'm excited to talk to Liam. Liam is super young. He kind of reminds me of myself when I was, just basically hustling as a kid. And he's built an amazing company. We go into his founding story, what got him here, his background in publishing and audience development, and eventually how that carries through into e-commerce and now SaaS. So enjoy the episode. If you've got any questions for either Liam or myself, feel free to email either of us or drop us a line on Twitter. Enjoy the episode. All right, Liam, it's awesome to have you here on the podcast. Thank you for being a big sponsor of Limited Supply, and I'm excited to get into your story here.
Yeah, so great to be on. I mean, this is a long time coming, so great to be here, and thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. So, Liam, I know you spent 2 years building Navigate Australia, which is a travel publisher. I also spent a few years working on the publisher side or the audience development side. I'm curious, what did you learn about audience development and driving traffic that you think isn't talked about enough with consumer brands?
Sure. I mean, I started my first business before Instant, when I was 16. We were actually traveling around Australia and the world. So my mom, dad, sister, we went traveling around the world for 4 years full time. And wow. I mean, I couldn't go and get a job at McDonald's or something like that, for people my age. And so I started this online travel magazine called Navigate Australia, and it grew to 50,000 readers in 12 months. We partnered with like 190 councils and tourism brands. And I think the biggest thing was we just created very relatable content, both on social, in the magazine. People started to naturally or organically share it amongst each other. And it just went from there, really. And then that was probably, the most exciting part, where we were paying people to travel. They were writing for the magazine, creating content. And it was just kind of naturally evolving. And that was my first business, and kind of have gone from there.
That's amazing. Was that around the same time where sites like 22 Words and Upworthy and those types of sites were really taking off?
Definitely. I mean, that was a pretty crazy time. It was pre-COVID. Everyone was traveling a lot. Online content magazines were kind of, everyone was moving away from print onto online. People would subscribe for free. Advertisers would pay to be in the magazine. And it would go from there, and it just kind of naturally grew.
That's amazing. And then, so after you worked on that, then you started Instant at 17, and today Instant's one of Australia's fastest growing startups. And I think the company was just valued at $100 million. I saw from an article a couple of weeks ago. So how did you get here?
Yeah, I mean, starting Instant. So I started Navigate Australia, the travel magazine, and COVID hit, and everyone stopped traveling over COVID. Advertisers pulled out of the magazine, so the magazine naturally died. I was 16, 17 at this point, and I went to uni and studied business and marketing. And one of my marketing assignments was looking into the recent growth of e-commerce kind of towards the middle of COVID. And one of, this assignment, we needed to set up a Shopify store, drop shipping products from China, advertise them on Facebook ads, and see if we could use like our newfound marketing skills to generate some revenue. And so that's how I got into e-commerce. I chose to do like pet beds, pet products, etc.
How'd you land on that?
I mean, everyone was buying new dogs, cats in COVID. And so it was very hyped up. It went from an assignment. I think in our best month, we did like 10 or 20K. And that's how I got into ecom. And this was kind of pre-shop pay. And so I found that majority of people that were landing on the website weren't converting at the point that they needed to put in their personal information. And that's when we built our first product, which was called Quick Checkout. And we would remember a shopper every single time they came back, giving them an accelerated checkout experience. And so that's how Instant came around to what it is today, out, starting in e-commerce myself.
Yeah. So you almost started with like a Shop Pay or a Link competitor, and then it evolved into a retention software as you started to realize that Shop Pay was now a player, or how did that evolution happen?
Yeah, exactly. So we started our first product, Instant or Quick Checkout, and then it renamed to Instant Checkout. And we built this powerful technology that allowed us to remember a shopper every single time they came back to your website or any other website in the network. And so it became more and more powerful by the day. And every single shopper we started to remember wherever they went to purchase across the internet. And with this, we were increasing conversion. We were allowing a shopper to kind of accelerate through checkout. And then one day, the competitive environment, we wanted to get into the Shopify ecosystem. We couldn't get into Shopify because of, Shop Pay being a very prominent player.
Yeah, the walled garden.
Yeah, exactly. And, Shopify makes majority of their revenue from payments. They're super protective of it. And so we thought, okay, well, we've built this technology that allows us to remember a shopper wherever they're going to purchase across the internet. So how do we use that technology? Instead of using it in payments, we wanted to use it on the retention or marketing side instead. And that's where kind of the pivot happened for us as a company, which, then we built audiences and grew to 500 brands in, less than 12 months using the product, which was crazy.
Can you explain the audiences product?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, audiences matches the shoppers that visit your website with a deliverable email address. So you're able to retarget and remarket them after they abandon. We remember your opted-in shoppers for longer, opening a whole new revenue channel for brands. I mean, most browsers or pixels, Klaviyo, Facebook, all have, I guess, what we call like short-term memory loss. They all remember a shopper for, very short periods of time, in some cases, one day. Whereas Instant remembers your opted-in shoppers forever. If they come back to your website in 7 days, a year, 2 years, in your Christmas sales period, we remember who they are, allowing you to bring them back to convert after they've left your website.
And why is it that you guys can do this, but like Facebook or Klaviyo can't do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, it's kind of our core strength. They're very focused, saying Klaviyo's case, they're very focused on campaigns, email editing, allowing a brand to set up their emails. They're not very focused on remembering a shopper. It's just not kind of their core business. For us, it's all we focus on. And so we use things like server-side cookies. We use multiple data points to track a shopper. But we also make sure every single shopper is opted in and has a very high intent of purchasing. So we look for signals and kind of behavior of a shopper, say like they've come back to your website multiple times, they've added an item to their cart, maybe they've scrolled around for a long period of time, to look for these really high intent signals of a shopper. And so then we use that information to trigger an email at the perfect time. But yeah, I mean, we use kind of multiple ways to remember a shopper.
Yeah, that makes sense. And do I've seen on LinkedIn or whatnot, people find that this might be creepy, right? Being able to identify visitors without getting their explicit email address. Like, how do you see that?
It's definitely a known problem in terms of the messaging, particularly in this space. I think that so many players have done the wrong thing in terms of like buying huge lists of consumer data and then plugging it into a merchant's Klaviyo. Then their spam rates skyrocket and unsubscribe skyrockets and, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think that we really fight against the messaging, that is just so common in the space that we play. On Instant side, and where we very kind of prioritize standing out is that, we only remember opted-in shoppers. Today, if a shopper comes back to your website, most of our brands across our network or, ecosystem of brands now, Klaviyo helps them remember, or their email platform helps them remember, 10 to 15% of their returning shoppers. Whereas majority of the time, Instant helps you remember 60 to 70% of your returning opted-in shoppers when they come back to your website. But the key thing is that every single shopper is opted in somewhere, whether they've purchased before, they've filled out the email, newsletter, subscribe, et cetera, et cetera. They have to have been opted in before. And so, and we allow them to unsubscribe at any time. So it's not creepy because we're not just tracking anyone and everyone.
Totally. How do you stay up to date on the privacy laws globally? Because they're different all around the world, right?
Yeah, of course. For us, we're a venture-backed business, so we need to kind of follow so many rules. There's audits, there's people internally, externally. I would say, we've obviously started Instant in Australia, and we're, one of the fastest growing startups here in Australia today, working with, some pretty incredible brands. And so we've been put under the microscope and pressure by some of these massive brands, legal teams, which is the right thing, right? Because it keeps us on our toes and makes sure that we're following all the rules. But, for us, Australia is a very complex, country from a consumer privacy perspective, and equally is the US. And so being legal here in Australia ticks a lot of the same boxes as we expand into the US as a business, which is, perfect. But yeah, we stay up to date on it internally from our legal team, and make sure that we're following all the guidelines. But the biggest thing, honestly, is making sure that every single shopper that enters our network and that we share with a brand is opted in. If a shopper's opted in, that's, the biggest box ticked, and, we prioritize that over everything else.
Totally. What are some of the other products in the platform that brands are using a lot, and especially some of those larger big box or retail brands that you have?
Yeah, we work with some incredible brands like Selfie Leslie, Toys R Us, etc. They use Instant to, retarget the shoppers that are leaving their website. We've almost doubled their email revenue channel since onboarding with Instant, both increasing their revenue by over $1 million now, kind of joining our $1 million club, as we say. And I think they've been using us for maybe like 8 months equally. So, that's pretty incredible. Other features that they're using, we have many features within Instant, like predictive opt-in is a huge one, where we use behavioral-based signals from a shopper to display a pop-up at the right time. Exactly, to get a shopper, increase the shopper's likelihood of entering their email address, has been a huge one. And then also express checkout identification. This is something that a lot of our competitors or other players in the space fail to remember a shopper or opt in or subscribe a shopper when they use an express checkout like Link or Apple Pay. Whereas for us, we're able to capture that shopper information and help a brand use it when it comes to retargeting and remarketing, the next time that same shopper comes back to their website.
I'm curious, internally, have you seen patterns around best practices for, you guys are doing the timing for the pop-up, but have you seen any best practices around what makes a really good converting pop-up design-wise?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I think that they're all pretty different. I actually think it comes down to the offer, to be honest. I think that a shopper is pretty likely to enter in their email address no matter what it looks like, as long as, free shipping is a huge one. The best brands do like 20% off your first order. But I honestly think as well, displaying the pop-up at the right time, majority of brands would display a pop-up at, immediately as you enter the website. And almost every shopper just clicks the X button. And then when they are ready to purchase, they can't find it. Whereas what we do is we kind of build up a point system where certain interactions build up points for that shopper when they're on your website. And once they reach a point threshold based on their behavior, we're likely to show a pop-up. And those points kind of signal towards a shopper being very likely to purchase. E.g., they've added an item to their cart, or they've come back to the website multiple times, or maybe they've got all the way to the point of entering their credit card information, but they've exited out of their cart. They're pretty likely to purchase. They just need that last incentive to get them across the line.
Yeah, we've seen that that the timing of the pop-up can double the conversion rate of the opt-in. Like,
For sure.
good timing will 2x it for sure.
Definitely. And then once they enter their email address, give them like a second option to enter in their mobile number for SMS as well. And that builds up your SMS database equally. So just displaying it at the right time is huge.
Hundreds of brands like Garrett Popcorn, July Luggage, and Selfie Leslie are making 6 figures in incremental revenue through Instant supercharged retention marketing platform. It takes 15 minutes to go live, and you see results just within days. You most likely send site abandonment emails, but because most of the traffic on your site's anonymous, you don't get to email 98% of these site visitors. Instant gives you another chance to convert those visitors into buyers and send 10 times more cart abandonment emails than you were before, helping you double your abandoned flow revenue. If you want to see it in action, don't miss your chance. Sign up by April 1st to get your first month free. Just go to instant.one/limited. That's instant.one/limited. You mentioned the point system. So one of the things that I've always thought about, or not always thought about, but everybody's talking about AI lately, and the way that I imagine your system works is it has some level of AI or machine learning, or it's just getting smarter with every interaction, understanding what leads to intent or what leads to purchase. How did you concept building that whole system and architecting the thinking behind, how does Instant know the context and how to think and how to work? How'd you go about that?
Yeah, I mean, we are only really just kind of getting into the AI space now. We started audiences to remember a shopper when they visited your website just last January. And last January we had 0 merchants using Instant, and now today we have over 500, which is crazy. And almost no merchant leaves. And so today we're the biggest question we're answering or starting to answer is, how do we start to provide so much more value to a brand? Not just with remembering a shopper, but also how do we use use remembering a shopper to the advantage of the merchant to increase their revenue. Every single thing we do is to increase a merchant's revenue. All we care about is increasing a merchant's revenue. And so where we're kind of exploring with AI at the moment is we want to help a brand. I guess the most important thing in email marketing is the design of your flows and templates. Today, every single shopper gets the same email with the same design, with the same offer. Whereas what we can do is we've built up such a profile of a shopper when they're coming back to your website. We can use AI to generate a shopper by shopper based email that gets retargeted to a shopper on a shopper by shopper basis. Personalized offer, personalized design. We include products in the email that they're more likely to purchase, a call to action that is going to relate to that individual shopper. And so that's kind of where we're exploring at the moment. And we're betaing that behind the scenes. We haven't actually publicly launched it yet. And some brands like Clutch Glue, for example, they're a really small brand here in Australia, have seen incredible results. We completely automate retargeting, email retargeting for their brand, from email design all the way through to email sending and increasing revenue. It's kind of like an AI powered marketing manager for an e-commerce brand.
Yeah, and and you could even, I was thinking in the example of a clothing brand, the color of the email could be different depending on the variant that you were looking at on the site, and the way that your address is different. I mean, you could really, there's only so far been products where you could insert a snippet to populate a feed that, I think Rebuy, you can do that, where you can insert a feed of AI recommended products, but I haven't seen anything where you can fully generate the entire, a custom design from scratch.
That's what we want to do. So
that's sick.
We're launching it pretty soon.
Wow. And so for this brand, do they even have anybody running campaign emails or things like that? Or is it all done through AI?
It's all done through AI. We use AI to generate their email flows, generate their campaigns.
Wow.
We when they update their website for a certain campaign period, that offer automatically gets dragged into their emails. So we're consistent. All a merchant needs to do is enter in the URL of their website, and we pull their logo, pull their brand colors, pull the offers on their website. We analyze their tone of voice based on the language they use to describe their products, pull their product images, pull their CTAs and product links. We integrate with Shopify and the Shopify pixel to understand their website better. We plug all of that into an email, and it's kind of like magic. We pull it all together, and then we spit out an email to a shopper. But it all starts with audiences, and none of this is possible if you're unable to remember the shoppers that are actually visiting your website in the first place. So all of our products like Lego brick together. It's like we remember a shopper when they visit your opted-in shoppers when they visit your website. We then use that information to auto-generate an email. We send out that email and increase your revenue.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. One other question that came to mind as you were talking about the pop-up and the offer being a big lever. You probably see so much data in terms of returning customers or, really anything around retention. Have you seen a shift in, people being more drawn to better offers like this? Is there a bigger pull for offers than there is for brand association or buying from a specific brand from what you've seen?
I think for small businesses or businesses really like trying to make a name for themselves, offers are huge. I think for like well-known brands, influencer brands that have the hype, I mean, people are just going to purchase anyway. I think it's a fine line though, right? Like brands that over discount or have too many offers, they start to seem less valuable. But brands that are just trying to make a name for themselves or trying to get out there or just getting started, I think offers are huge, but not just like plastered over the homepage of the website.
Right.
Homepage of the website, it seems really just makes your products or brands seem very, I guess, not valuable at all. So triggering offers at the right time, I think is critical if you want to seem like a valuable brand.
Yeah, totally. And on the topic of AI, I'm curious, where do you think AI is going to find its way in the world of e-commerce more and more, especially this year?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think that where AI is going to really explode, I think, is helping a brand completely understand their business. But equally, and where we're focused is how do small or medium-sized brands, I guess, are able to execute at the same velocity as these massive e-commerce brands that have hundreds of people, whether it's attribution and understanding the metrics of their business, all the way through to content creation, email generation, working with influencers, etc. I mean, there's some incredible companies out there now, like Icon, for example, that shifts your videos into all this content. For us and where we're focused, we want to build the first AI-powered retention marketing manager for an e-commerce brand, completely automate the need for a marketing manager, or the painful parts of a marketing manager's job, and allow a brand to completely automate retention marketing for their business. And I think that retention marketing and email marketing, for most brands is about 25 to 30% of their business. And being able to automate that is huge. So marketing managers can actually focus on, the more complex or channels that have, a huge opportunity. But AI, I think, will explode to definitely increase a merchant's resources or the velocity at which they move, I think.
Yeah, totally agreed. Where do you think, like, when you look at some of your customers that are using Instant, where do you think some of them are leaving meat on the bone? Like, they're not taking full advantage, or if you were in their shoes, what would you do differently with the platform than what you see some of them doing now?
Yeah, I think that setting up your flows correctly is really important. We have a feature in our dashboard called Flow Optimization, which analyzes all your flows and gives you, recommendations or tips to increase their likelihood of conversion. So we look for things like, perhaps wrong triggers, or maybe where you're missing some shoppers, or you're sending emails to to shoppers that don't have a high intent, etc. So we use flow optimization to increase your flows conversion. And then second to that is express checkout identification. A lot of brands don't have this enabled, especially amongst our competitors or brands that just aren't using this technology at all. And so they're forgetting or not remembering, or they're basically their website has short-term memory loss every single time a shopper uses express checkout. And this is majority of people, especially people that are purchasing, say, via their iPhone or tablet, etc. They're using Apple Pay, Google Pay, and not remembering those shoppers and not signing them up to your email list is a huge loss. And then predictive opt-in, as we've spoken about, increasing your likelihood of a shopper actually subscribing to your list so you're able to remember them using the behavior of that shopper. And I think the fourth thing is that's really important is looking for very high intent signals of a shopper to before you send them emails or marketing material. And this is really, really hard to do for a shopper just by themselves, or for a brand just by themselves. And so looking for things like they've added an item to their cart, they've come back to your website multiple times, they've abandoned, etc. Looking for those really high intent signals before you bother them, I think has a huge advantage.
Totally.
And some of our brands, like as I said before, we've got like July Luggage here in Australia. They started working with us ages ago. They use one of our other products called targeting, which helps a brand increase their revenue via Meta. Where because we're remembering these shoppers via your website, we plug remembering shoppers into July Luggage's Meta account, and when we increase their likelihood of retargeting the shoppers that have left their website via their social channels, and so that's been a huge unlock for them as well. And at this point, we've added millions of dollars to their business, which is huge.
Yeah, it's also crazy the difference of what you pay to acquire that retargeting customer when you use the instant targeting audience versus just a generic Facebook retargeting audience. Exactly.
The way I would describe instant is like we're a fishing net that captures more shoppers. When if we think about kind of from a funnel perspective, which marketers are just obsessed about all the time. It's a marketer's job to just get more shoppers into the top of the funnel, landing on their website, right? That's all they focus on. And, then it's generally someone else's job to optimize the website, and then someone else's job to optimize the checkout. And hopefully by the end of the day, you get a conversion. And the way we look at it as, a marketing manager is spending so much effort and money getting these people to your website, particularly through Meta and Facebook ads. Hundreds of thousands of dollars getting these people to your website. Whereas what Instant does is all these shoppers are visiting your website anyway. And we increase the likelihood of those shoppers who are already visiting your website to convert. And so we actually supercharge your Meta. We decrease your CAC and increase your email marketing. It's a net positive for almost every channel. But brands love it from a Meta perspective, and they generally see an increase of results because these shoppers are visiting their website anyway. Now we just remember them, capture their information, and are able to retarget them.
And what about brands like Oodie and the College & Co? I saw they were on your site with some case studies. How did they use it, and how is everything for them set up?
Yeah, so the Oodie was actually our first customer on Audiences, which is wild. Davey's built an incredible brand there, and they actually reached out to us cold. They came inbound, and they were our first customer to beta, which we were pretty nervous about to begin with, to be honest. They're a massive brand, doing hundreds of millions of dollars online a year and growing. And so we were pretty nervous initially, but it kind of made us build the muscle very, very quickly to be able to support incredibly large brands. We went from remembering 0 shoppers to, millions of shoppers a day, almost overnight. In Black Friday, Cyber Monday, we were remembering over 100 million shoppers a day, which is crazy.
That's nuts.
And so how Oodie and College & Co, etc., they're both part of our $1 million club as well. Instant, we installed the pixel on their website. They integrated Klaviyo into Instant. We duplicated or cloned their existing email flows, and we started triggering emails to retarget their lost shoppers after they'd left their website. We'd plug that email address into Klaviyo, which would trigger the flow. So it's very plug and play. It took them about, I'm going to say maybe a day and a half to go live. And they've never had to edit or change anything since. So it's basically just a new revenue channel on autopilot. They both see over like 30, 40 times ROI with Instant. That's basically how it works. It's super simple.
That's amazing. And when you duplicate those flows, is there anything else you do to them?
Our customer success team will always sit down with a brand and understand, the way that they have their flows set up today. A lot of brands use different triggers, or, they'd rather send an email after 4 hours instead of 2 hours. We make sure they don't get duplicate flows, or, a shopper gets bombarded with emails. So we're very particular because increasing a merchant's revenue is a benefit to the merchant, but it's also really important to us. Otherwise, the merchant just leaves, right? So we put a lot of effort into making sure that merchants actually see results. And then we also have a guarantee. If you don't increase your revenue with Instant or see a positive ROI, we'll give you your money back. So making sure our merchants actually set up and increasing their revenue from day one is super important. But then we also do things like, I think attribution is, one of the biggest, question marks for so many brands, whether it's, how much Meta's delivering, or, Klaviyo's over attribution sometimes, or, Instant. And so, allowing a brand to A/B test Instant when they first use us is important. We'll send, 50% of emails to a shopper, and we'll hold 50% of emails and see which one converts better to kind of prove our product works. We have features like a shopper timeline, which shows you the complete transaction or shopping journey of a particular shopper, when they landed on your website, how Instant identified them, what shopping behaviors they had, like add an item to their cart, when they left your website, when Instant triggered an email, what email they clicked on, when they came back to purchase. So we show you the complete timeline of a shopper, which is not just powerful for us, but also powerful for a marketer as well, to see what channels are best performing for them. So attribution is really important for us.
That's pretty cool that you could run a full holdout test just within the platform.
We're super confident. Confident in the results. So you can do. I almost can't think of another tech platform that allows you to A/B test their product just by switching it on in the dashboard. That's how confident.
I don't know.
That's how confident we are.
What about what's the ideal stage for a brand to jump on? You mentioned there was that one smaller brand that is basically a startup, and then you also mentioned you have Toys R Us. So what's like the perfect time to get on Instant?
Yeah, I think for us, we generally see the best results once a merchant has like 50 to 100K a month in revenue. I think is probably the optimal time. It's you can come on earlier, but it's most powerful once you have 50 to 100K a month in site revenue. Just because we need a high velocity of shoppers visiting your website to be able to remember them, etc. So I think that there's other channels that deliver fast-paced growth for, say, entrepreneurs just getting started, and then come to us once you have 50 to 100K in revenue is like the ideal time.
Perfect. And are there any brands that are not necessarily a good fit, either category-wise or product type?
Fashion and apparel, beauty and cosmetics are huge verticals for us. They're definitely most powerful. I think that we work with every vertical in every industry. I don't think we don't cover. There's no vertical industry we don't cover these days, and no size of brand. There's brands that have joined the platform that are doing 1 or 2K a month in revenue. There's definitely smaller brands, and there's huge brands doing over $200-300 million a year. And so everywhere in the middle is every vertical, every size of brand. no matter your setup or team size, we can support. And I think that's true because, we're a very plug and play product. You don't need, someone to resource it. We send out your email, we send out the data of how the product's working and the revenue that we're driving for your business every single day to your email inbox, etc. So it truly doesn't matter who you are. You can join Instant and get set up and going. And if you don't have your email flows or Klaviyo set up, we can do that all for you within the platform.
Amazing. Amazing. And okay, so you mentioned the AI email generator coming soon. What are some other cool either features or products you have coming within Instant?
I think the AI email generator is definitely the one we're most excited about. It's huge. It allows us to bring AI-powered personalization to retention marketing. It allows us to help a brand build their email flows using AI in a click of a button. All they need to do is put in a URL of their website. So I think that's going to be huge. We're very, very excited about kind of building the first AI-powered marketing manager for an e-commerce brand. It's just going to have so many benefits where I think today a brand sits down maybe once a year, twice a year, optimizes their flows, and then they really just don't give a stuff about it for, every other time in the year. It's such an effort to set up, or they've paid an agency, hundreds of thousands of dollars to set it up on once. Whereas with Instant AI, you can change, optimize your email templates consistently, daily. We do it for you. You can do it yourself. We use the information that you're updating on your website to update your emails. And we use on a shopper by shopper basis to send, hyper personalized emails to shoppers. So I think building, this AI powered marketing manager is going to be huge, but we also have other features like, the shopper timeline thing we just launched, which allows you to understand your shopper's journey. We have huge improvements to attribution where we're helping a brand understand the profitability and revenue across each of their channels. I think the way we describe it internally is a brand logs into Meta as the first thing every single day to understand their ads and where they're performing. We think that over the next 12 months, the second platform that every brand logs into every single day will be will be Instant, and that'll drive huge benefit for a brand.
And Liam, last thing is I would love for you to leave us with one actionable retention marketing tip that brands listening can immediately apply after this episode. You see everything in the world of retention. So what is your number one takeaway?
Remembering shoppers throughout the year when they're landing on your website across Q1, Q2, so that during your Q4 sales period, you've remembered all of these shoppers throughout the year, that over Christmas, Boxing Day, you're able to fire out so much more retention marketing to these shoppers that are coming back to your website because you've built up this database or brain across the year that remembers the shopper. And so getting these tools like Audiences Live now at the start of the year to build up this database has huge benefits in your most important sales period of the year in Q4. So that would be my tip. Invest in it now so you reap the rewards later.
It's always something that everybody wishes later they started sooner.
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah. All right, Liam. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. Where can people connect with you or chat with you to learn more about Instant?
Yeah, it's been great to be on. Thanks for having us, Nick. And we're really excited about expanding into the US. As I said, we've grown so quickly here in Australia, 0 to like 500 brands in 12 months. We just raised a huge capital round, and we're expanding into New York now. And so people can connect with me on LinkedIn, visit our website, many of these e-commerce events as well, or just shoot me an email, liam@instant.one, and we'll connect up.
Amazing. Thank you again, Liam.
Cool. Thanks, Nick.